This is Corky, the killer whale. Some experts say that she has a good chance of regaining her health if the people at SeaWorld release her into the wild. But many say that Corky's best chance is in fact right where she is. Coming up in a moment, you'll hear from both sides in this issue in tonight's Crosstalk. So stay there. Corky the killer whale is one of SeaWorld's most popular attractions, and Corky is also dying. The whale is very ill, and officials at the San Diego park say she will probably die by the end of the year. But as Corky's life is ending, a vigorous debate is now beginning. Animal activists want Corky to be set free so she can rejoin her family, called a pod, and die out in the open ocean. On the other side, SeaWorld veterinarians say that releasing her would not be in her best interest, and they say she is not used to getting her own food and may even be rejected by her own pod in the wild. Now, joining us tonight for Crosstalk is Jim McBain, a SeaWorld veterinarian. He joins us by satellite from San Diego. And in our newsroom is the co-founder of the group Save the Whales, Maris Sidenstecker. Dr. McBain, I want to ask you the first question here. If Corky, if this killer whale is going to die anyway, why not let this whale die out in the open ocean?
Well, I think that's probably the first mistake. Corky is actually not ill at this point. Corky is very healthy, doing very well. She's an older animal, so we know that she's not going to have the resilience of a younger animal, but in fact, for an animal her age, she's in excellent condition and very happy.
Just to clarify this for us then real quickly, where did this talk about the killer whale dying come from, do you know?
Well, I'm not exactly sure where this all originated from. All I know is if anyone had asked me, I could tell them. I see Corky basically every day, do physical examination on her every 2 weeks, and I can assure you that Corky is doing very well.
All right, Maris Sidenstecker, I wanted to ask you, is this a case where you would simply be voting for this animal to be set free no matter what?
I would be voting to set her free, yes, but what I'd like to ask Dr. McBain is that you're saying that Corky is in very good health. Why do you have her listed in poor condition on your National Marine Fisheries Service report, the inventory report you submitted in June? You have her listed in poor health.
I'm not sure I can comment on that directly. I don't really have anything to do with filling out whatever forms are being referred to.
This is not a form. This is your marine mammal inventory report that you submit every year to have a permit on your captured marine mammals.
As I understand it, the form allows 3 choices. One is good health, one is poor health, and one is deceased. In Corky's case, because she's an older animal, a decision was made that her health would be listed as poor. In fact, for an animal her age, she's in very good health.
Corky is not an old animal. She's only 26 years old, and this is very young for an orca. Scientific research out in the wild on killer whales has proved beyond any doubt by very well-known whale researchers that killer whales live to be 60 years old or more in the wild.
Dr. McBain, is that true? Is that the case?
No, I think, I don't know where to start here. There's so much misinformation about, we've just heard a little bit of it just now. If we want to start with this whole project, I think that the whole thing is a rather romantic, grandiose scheme. We have an animal that has lived in oceanariums for 23 years. She's learned to trust and depend on humans. She would find those characteristics
How can you say that she's learned to trust and depend on humans? What kind of trust is that to have an animal hostage in an oceanarium?
She would find those characteristics, the characteristics of trusting humans, depending on humans, and actually she enjoys interacting with humans.
Dr. McBain,
those things would be very risky to her.
I want to just ask quickly, is 26 old or is it young? I mean, do these animals live to be 60 years old? Is that right?
I don't think we have any dependable evidence at this point that killer whales would live to be that age. I can tell you that from tooth aging research done in Norway, that killer whales live to be in the neighborhood of 32 years. As far as my experience, and this is with animals in general, not just with killer whales, Corky's blood work shows the signs of an aging animal. It doesn't show that she's not healthy. It just shows the changes that we would expect to see in a human as they get older. So it's not at this point, I think worthwhile discussing what the maximum possible longevity of a killer whale is. The research done in Norway, as I mentioned before, several years ago, suggested that the oldest killer whales out of well over 100 killer whales that were found was still less than 35 years of age.
As a veterinarian, Mr. McBain, Dr. McBain, do you really find it to be difficult for these animals to survive in captivity like this? At one time, of course, that was a raging debate. Do you feel that that's been put to rest, that the animals actually do live a good life in captivity?
I think the animals do very well in captivity. They, in Corky's case, she's a member of a group that has 4 other killer whales in it. 2 of the killer whales were born in Corky's presence.
Out of 33 killer whales that SeaWorld has had in captivity, 20 are dead.
All right, Ms. Maris, one moment. Let the doctor finish. I just wanted to finish up. You said that they seem to do very well at SeaWorld.
Yes.
Is that right? Yes,
that's right. As I mentioned, Corky has been present at the birth of 2 other killer whales here. The animals here are all happy, healthy animals. They respond to each other in a very normal fashion. They enjoy each other's company. They enjoy the people, the activity. This life here is a very good one. I will grant you it's a different life than that in the wild, but it's a very good one.
And Maris, you think that there's just simply no way that these animals should ever be held?
Exactly, and this is not a good life in captivity, and he is romanticizing the point of having animals in captivity. Out of 33 killer whales that SeaWorld has owned, 20 are dead, and they have died from such things as gangrenous pneumonia, influenza, septicemia, and yeast infections. It is proven beyond any doubt that killer whales live 60 years or more in the wild by scientists such as Dr. Paul Spong, Michael Bigg, very well-known researchers. And the fact that you continue to say that killer whales live to 30 is simply because they die in captivity by the age of 30 in SeaWorld. A 56-year-old female in the waters of Washington State just had a baby. Corky's mother, who is believed to be A23, a female up in British Columbia waters at the age of 41, has just had another calf. SeaWorld, in fact, has refused to have DNA testing done on Corky's mother.
Maris, thank you very much for that. And Doctor, thank you very much. That's all we have time for. I wish we had time to ask one more question, which is it true that these whales live much longer in the wild? Is there a simple yes or no to that, Dr. McBain?
No, there isn't. Not at this point.
All right. Thank you both very much for joining us and discussing this tonight.